legalizing prostitution comes around, people might be looked at like they're crazy. And today you might look at me like I'm crazy because I'm here to tell you that prostitution should be legalized in the state of Minnesota. I'm not talking about child prostitution. I'm talking about people who are over the age of 18. My first reason I believe that it should be legalized is because it will stop the amount of human trafficking that goes through the U.S. and Minnesota. According to pros and cons of legalizing prostitution, the demand of legal prostitutes are higher than the demand for human trafficking in countries where legal prostitutes where prostitution is legalized. And that study was done by CEO Young Chow, and she showed that where the places that prostitution is illegal, the demand for human trafficking is higher. Like for instance, the U.S. there's a lot of human trafficking, and other countries in Africa where prostitution is illegal and there's so much human trafficking going on. And if we legalize human trafficking, if we legalize prostitution, the amount of human trafficking will drop. And every day you hear about kids getting kidnapped and raped and murdered and all those terrible stories you hear on the TV, and all that can be stopped if we legalize it. I'm not saying it will completely stop, but it'll be easier to track, easier to stop them, and the numbers will drop. The second reason I believe it should be legalized is because it will create more jobs. According to the Bureau of Labor, the unemployment rate in the U.S. is 6.2%, and in Minnesota alone, the number is 4.7%, and that number is very low. It's hard for people to find a job. And if we legalize prostitution, it'll give women the opportunity to have a job, and it will give them a starting base to make money and support their family and kids. I'm not saying they have to do it on forever and ever and ever and never get a better job. It's just something to have a starting base with. And it's not like these women aren't trying to find a real job or have education. It's just hard to find a job, and it's something to do. And it don't get that confused by they're forced into doing it because they're in poverty, because there's women out there that choose to do it. For instance, I read an article called "Fluent Women May Choose Prostitution," and it was talking about a woman named Jennifer Haley, who isn't in poverty, who has great education, and isn't struggling to help her family. She goes to the University of Arkansas, and that's an example of someone who has great education and money, but still chooses to do prostitution. And it is what it is. Women have the right to do what they want. If they want to prostitute, then they should be able to prostitute. And it's not like they're getting forced to do it. No one is holding a gun to their head and telling them they have to prostitute. But it's just there for people who need to make the extra money or like to please other people. Another reason I believe that it should be legalized is because it will lower the amount of violence on women. According to Business Insider, 82% of women who are doing prostitution are being assaulted, and 68% of them are getting raped. And that's because they can't do anything about it, because they can't turn to the cops. The cops won't do anything because what they're doing is already illegal. But if we legalize it, the government can step in and help regulate it, and it'll be by government regulations. It'll be considered a normal job, just like if you're a teacher and someone's beating you up, you can call the cops, and the cops will take care of it, and you'll be safe. And then it will go to the same to the prostitutes. And prostitution has been going on forever. It's one of the longest trades, and there's over 1 million women doing it. And if they want to do it, we should let it happen. And it'll be government regulated, so it won't be a big issue. The numbers on women violence will go down, and the number of rapes will drop, and it'll be fine. And for any other concerns about STD rates going up, that'll be government regulated too, because the government can step in and make sure all the prostitutes are getting tested and making sure they don't have any STDs, and if they do have STDs, they have to stop prostituting and get cured or whatever. And that's why I believe that prostitution should be legalized in the state of Minnesota.